Jim Sparks, we're delighted to be talking with you today. I'm Bill Ryan. I'm half of the team with Kerry Cassidy that's Project Camelot. And one of the things that we do is we present different jigsaw puzzle pieces of what is a very large picture that a lot of people out there watching this video now will be as interested in putting together as you are and we are.
Okay.
Now, we're talking to you today because from what we understand, you have one or two possibly significant pieces to present to people so that they can fit it into the puzzle if they can, and so that we can fit it into the puzzle if we can. We're speaking to you because you are what has been described in the UFO community as a fully conscious multiple abductee. That's the shortest sentence I can fit all that in.
Good way to put it.
Could you put your own a description onto that? What do you feel your contribution to this puzzle is?
In brief, interaction has been going on for approximately 19 years. The first 6 years were ambiguous, no frame of reference, couldn't understand. I would say that would be akin to what most abductees go through, except, again, it was 95 to 98% total conscious recall that I come with.
At a guess, how many abductions have you experienced?
Hundreds.
Hundreds?
Hundreds.
Many hundreds. That's
many
a lot.
Hundreds.
That's
many
a
hundreds.
Lot. Would you say, once again, in your experience, that this is likely to have been exceptional, or are many abductees also have experienced hundreds of abductions, but they don't remember any of them? Is this possible?
Part of the latter is there's a lot of truth based on that, because I've seen mass abductions with hundreds of people, and in those mass abductions, these people, the memory's taken away towards the end. Primarily in the mass abductions that I've seen, they're primarily involved the what are commonly referred to as grays. They're getting environmental lessons. That's over a 19-year period.
What do you mean environmental lessons? What do you mean by that?
An awareness of the acute situation we're in with the environment. Primarily what they do in these abduction scenarios, particularly the mass ones, with this particular agenda, which is global, is to heighten the awareness of how beautiful the planet is and how beautiful the planet was by different sorts of frames of pictures for them to get. And then they gradually turn sour as to what we're doing to the planet. They're informed that the planet is dying. And I believe they're also getting, as what I know I've gotten, an assignment, so to speak. You don't have to do it. They receive this assignment in the subconscious and in the conscious frame of mind. The conscious frame memory is taken away before they go back. I think it'll reach the point of critical mass globally with this message, whereas as they go around their normal life, some may have fragmented memories of the abductions, some may not have any at all. We're talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or maybe even into the millions or more people globally. Globally. But it'll get to the point where it's critical mass, where the timing, if the timing's just perfect, I think a lot more memory will start coming out as to what they're supposed to do. So there seems to be a drive with abductees.
Is this part of a long-term program?
Yes.
A major long-term program?
Yes. One particular agenda, yes.
And the agenda, this is just my clarification of what you're saying. The agenda is an educational one, except that they have a particular style of teaching that may not be like the kind of thing we'd want to put our own kids through.
It's no doubt teaching, but it's not a teaching lesson. It's actually to take action. And see, now I've seen this flower in myself with consciousness of what's going on. I've seen this flower in an individual that I happened to see and interact with intimately on board for a couple hours, and then seeing this individual here at home over the years, getting this environmental message the way the rest of them did, not commenting on, I know who he is, and we befriended each other, and I can go on with that. Yeah. But we're friends.
And even though he had no memory of his experience, you kept quiet about it, noticing what had happened, and then you saw him change his attitudes, change his behavior, start to take action with certain projects.
Absolutely.
You saw, which was exactly what their program was designed for.
And then, interestingly enough, there were innuendos throughout the early stages of our interaction here where he did share with me, I remember this, or I got this, or he had fragmented memories like most abductees, and I had to bite my tongue knowing who the person was. Well, now he knows who I am, and it's fully bloomed. And that is a major agenda. Now, for me personally, as most abductees, but it was a 6-year period of living hell because I didn't have a frame of reference. I didn't understand what was going on. They didn't make anything clear. So I don't want to say I was trained. I haven't found the proper word for it. Kind of like an alien boot camp. I'm not going to go into long.
Indoctrinated? Would that be?
That would be, yes. So you know how to behave.
Okay.
And bottom line, because you're dealing with creatures that are non-human intelligence. And just they're 10 to 100 times faster than the mind. They got the high technology. They can travel time. They can go across, span the universe with no time passing. They can work with other dimensions. And these people or beings are so far removed from what we are, particularly socially, and they definitely don't have any social skills as far as we're concerned. They traumatize you. Interaction is trauma in every way, shape, and form. It's a better thing that the memory's taken away from people, and maybe it comes back to them slowly so they can cope and deal with it. But in that first 6 years, it was ambiguity, paradox, learning symbols, and the point there is I had no frame of reference or understood what was going on. The second set of 6 years, 7 years, was when I was turned loose on board, where I got to see agendas. And now I knew how to behave. A, I wasn't going to kill them. B, I wasn't going to go around tearing up the ship. C, I wasn't going to be disruptive. I wasn't going to, as I was those first 6 years. If I was paralyzed for the most part. So now I got to see things that they were doing.
This is very strange because it's like after this time, after you had been a rebel in their terms, it's like you didn't want to cooperate, you were yelling and screaming at them, you were angry, you were outraged that these things were happening to you against your will. But then they seemed to take you into their confidence, almost to help them with their program. I mean, this is a paradox.
Yeah, but it was necessary. I mean, you really... When I'm not justifying them. I don't claim, and you've heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it now, I don't claim to embrace alien culture. I have a healthy suspicion of all their motives at all times. I don't just swallow it and say that's how it is, but I let it play itself out. That's the only wise thing to do. What I'm finding is it is playing itself out, and I am seeing signs, and they are positive, they're not negative.
Would it be fair then to describe this as it's a kind of positive brainwashing? That's my take on what you seem to be having. And once again, that's a paradox as well, because one doesn't really associate the term brainwashing as being anything positive at all.
Of course.
But there is something about this being against people's free will.
Right.
The intention seems to be positive, because the idea is to shock or push people into taking more responsibility for our planet and our environment than we have been doing. Is this just because they're purely altruistic, or is there some self-interest involved?
Well, there's definitely self-interest, and there's definitely beneficial to us, but addressing the brainwashing aspect of it, clearly it's there. Clearly it's forced upon one. Now, that's something that took me several years to grasp why it had to be that way, because they are so far removed from what we are. We're talking about species of non-human intelligence that are literally thousands of years, in some cases, ahead of us technically, thousands of years ahead of already figuring things out, and who have evolved. They've joined, so to speak, the galactic neighborhood. They've conquered things like death. Some of them have. Their lifespans are phenomenal. And I think it's also transformed physically as that wears out to another body form.
That's what we've
They
heard.
have many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of experience in a data bank, in their minds.